All right. Can y'all hear me? All right. You guys should be able to hear me right now. Sorry, I stopped the music because I was literally like my my frames just went right when I started the music, and I'm like, oh my god, bro, like come on, really? Let me try the music one more time here. Okay, yeah, we're good for now. I don't know how long this is gonna last, but I'm praying to God my bitrate just stays up like how it is right now, with the music playing. But all right, um, Bulls win again. We got another win. Oh my god, the bitrate just tanked. Hold on. Okay, now we're stable again. Okay, hold on. I'm not gonna be playing music. Um, I'm not gonna play music for just a second here. I'm actually, hold on. I'm gonna pull up this. I don't understand. What? Wow. I guess I'm just not gonna play music for just for a little bit here. It's just because every time I play it, my bitrate just goes to the floor. All right. So yeah, another Bulls win. I am gonna stream just a little bit. I have a major headache going on, but I wanted to stream again. And Bulls get the win over the San Antonio Spurs. 114-95. And I have to say, this is a game that I am starting to move my expectations. I am truly going to move my expectations for this team moving forward. This was the type of game that I was looking to see how the Bulls would play. Now, I'm not going to put a whole bunch of stock into it because it is the Spurs at the end of the day, and I think the Bulls should beat the Spurs even if Zach's out. Right, the Bulls should beat the Spurs just due to talent difference. Okay, but um, that being said, this is the second game of back-to-back, third game in 4 nights. And the Bulls could not hit a shot from 3-point land. They just could not make shots. This was not looking to be a good game from this Bulls team, but they did a good job of keeping the lead when the shots were not going down. You can see here that the Bulls, they put 27 points in the first quarter, 25, and then 25 in the second and third. Just so you guys understand where I'm at when it comes to offense. If you're only putting up 25 points in a quarter, that means you're averaging then 100 points for the game. And just so you guys understand how bad 100 points a game is, that's not going to cut it. If you average 100 points a game, okay, you're not even at the lowest of the league in terms of offensive average. Okay, so it's important for the Bulls to not have these sort of quarters, but because it was the second game of a back-to-back, you could tell they were tired. But I sincerely applaud them for just sticking in the game, because the Spurs could have easily taken over, or at least taken the lead during these moments, but the Bulls kept the lead. And I think that to me is the biggest part of this that I'm like truly impressed by, because I was really looking to see how is this Bulls team going to actually play if the threes aren't going down. Offensively, it was as bad as I expected. The offense was dreadful for a good portion of the first 3 quarters. It was very hard to watch. Luckily for us, though, the Spurs were even worse on offense. But the big thing to me is this: the Bulls, for their defense, as much as the Spurs were playing terrible on the offensive end, the Bulls defense was still looking really solid, and that to me is huge. So I have to say, because I was, on just last night's stream, I was talking about how I had some concerns about this Bulls team. The 3-point shot wasn't going down, and I wanted to see a game where the shot wasn't going down and how they perform. Overall, with the 114 points, it's not too bad. 114 points again, though it's not even at average. Okay, like we're looking, that's basically just under average, so it's not too bad. But the biggest thing for me was the defense. That I was like, wow, okay, this is really good. Even though that the 3-point shot wasn't going down and things weren't exactly going amazing on offense. I also do think the Spurs just flat out suck defensively right now. The Bulls shot 27% from a 3-point land, but then they shot 54% from the field. So I am gonna keep saying that this was against the San Antonio Spurs. If the Bulls play a better team, I don't think they get this win tonight. But the fact that they kept this lead and they pushed through this ugly game, yeah, I'm moving my expectations. I am officially moving my expectations with this current team that we're seeing, with Coby White being a major part of it, with DeRozan and Vooch sort of taking a little bit steps back, right? And I'm just assuming that Zach LaVine is he's not going to be coming back to this team. He might, who knows if that actually is going to happen or not. But I'm officially starting to move my expectations for this team to that. I was thinking before, like, I don't think this team is gonna really go very far. I think they maybe get into like the play-in tournament at the 9-10 seeds, because I just think the Bulls are just gonna go about 500 for the after this game. I have to say, I don't think this Bulls, like, the way that this Bulls team has showed that they can play, they should not go 500 for the rest of the way. They should be above 500. I'm not saying it's to be a lot above 500, but the Bulls are the second easiest schedule in terms of record as of right now, for the rest of the season, according to Tankathon. So if this Bulls team is truly gonna show like, hey, we can play this way, then my expectations are gonna raise. I don't think this team still isn't going to be like a second round level playoff team, in my opinion, but I think this team now, we should be talking about them truly fighting for like the 7, 8, and potentially even the 6 seed here. You still lose in the first round, unfortunately, which is still why I think you need to make changes to this team. But my expectations were down here. Now I'm saying that they got to get up here. If they're going to be playing this way, then you got to get up here. I don't think you beat the Pacers, unfortunately, so maybe we'll see if Miami dips, if Cleveland dips out, because that would be, I think, those teams that maybe this Bulls team can catch before heading into the playoffs. So my expectations are going up. So I know that I guess people have called me the pessimistic dude or the Debbie Downer for everything. Okay, you guys want me to be realistic here, or I guess I should say more positive. This is my more positive thoughts. That, yeah, this was a good game by the Bulls when the three-point shot wasn't going down. It eventually started to go down, hence this really crazy fourth quarter that happened. And so I give the Bulls a lot of credit for sticking into this game. Again, it is against the Spurs, but I think that this team deserves some credit here for having a very dreadful shooting night and then still coming away with the lead after multiple quarters, and winning this game out. So expectations officially, they are going up. They are going up now. So, you got to continue playing this way, or else I will say then this team is starting to then not meet expectations, because, like I said, higher level of play means higher level expectations. That goes. Really like how Io's playing. I also like how Io's playing. I think that Io DeSumo, I don't know what it is. I'm actually going to pull up his profile here, but Io DeSumo, whenever he has come off the bench, he just genuinely just looks better. I can see his splits for that, actually. I just want to look at it. But yeah, I think the way that Io has come in, because right now Io is like the #1 player off the bench, because Caruso is now starting for at least the time being. Io is getting the most minutes, and he's also the first substitution off the bench right now. And I do think that he is playing really well. His three-point shot was not going down today, like we've been seeing for the past couple of weeks, but he still put up 11 points, and did a really good job of finishing at the rim, which is something that I think we should all be applauding guys like him and Coby for this season. Why won't this work? Hello? There we go. All right, let's look at this. Splits. See, so interesting. So when he's a starter, he averages about the same amount of points, but actually less in like double the minutes than when he's going off the bench. That's actually crazy. His shooting splits are very drastic. When he starts, he does not shoot the ball well whatsoever. When he comes off the bench, though, he's shooting over 50% from the field, and this is most of his games. But yeah, this is quite impressive, honestly, for Io. So yeah, at least for the time being, considering that injuries for the team or whatever, but I think for the rest of this season, I think Io should just be coming off the bench if possible, because his shooting splits are vastly different when he is coming off the bench compared to when he is starting. So honestly, still really just good stuff. His plus minus is actually in the negative still, which actually that makes sense because this team still is 4 games under 500. But yeah, interesting splits. And yeah, I think that him coming off the bench, he he has played a very very well role coming off the bench, and I think he should just stay there from here on out. I think this was a really overall solid team win yet again. Don't I think what was it 24? Yeah, it was 24 assists. The Bulls at one point though they were not at like the same level of assist rate. I think they had like 19 assists at the end of the third quarter, or no, sorry. There's like a point in the fourth quarter the Bulls had 19 assists. So it wasn't as high as we've been seeing, but then they started to hit their threes again. But either way, though, I saw this was just an absolute team win. And I think specifically Coby White had a very, very important surge in that third quarter where he started putting in some points when the team desperately needed buckets. And he showed that without the three-point shot, that he is truly getting the ability to score without that three-point shot. And it's a very big thing for Coby's development right now. I do think that Coby had some turnovers tonight that weren't exactly his normal self, but 10 of 15 shooting and only 2 of 6 from the three-point line, that's very, very good improvement from Coby overall as a player, and I'm very happy to see this from him. So, like I said, higher expectations, or higher level play means higher level expectations, and I do think that this man right here is the dude that has truly met those expectations, even though that they continue just to get higher. So this was a really good game from Coby. Honestly, I like you could even say he took over in that third quarter in a little 2-minute burst that made sure the Bulls stayed with the lead heading into the fourth quarter instead of giving up the lead when the Spurs just hung around this entire game. Yeah, and then I think DeRozan, I think he was turning down some shots that he needed to take early on, but then after that, I had no issues whatsoever. And Patrick Williams, we're officially now moving into the realm with Patrick Williams where I can start saying that, all right, consistency is starting to actually show. So here's his last 5 games, okay? This is good from Pat. I'm very, very happy to see this from Pat. So this Miami game where unfortunately the Bulls did take an L in, he had a very good game, right? But then we saw basically like similar performances every single day or every single game from then on out. It's like 13 points, 15 points, 14 points, right? This is the type of stuff with Pat that I'm like, this is where I start to hammer home, like, this is the consistency I need. It's not necessarily about him scoring 20. It's about him consistently getting 15 points, 14 points, around this same level of points every single night on not a lot of shots, right? This is the part of Patrick that we've been talking about a lot. And I think a big part of it is that the three-point shot is finally starting going, is going down again. And he's, I think, honestly shooting 40% from the field, from the three-point line now again. So there's that. There is some stuff I am going to talk about with Patrick Williams tonight that I think. Sorry, my bitrate tanked. So sorry about the music, but there is some stuff with Pat I'm going to talk about tonight that I do think that we still need to see him improve on some things. But I've asked for consistency from Patrick Williams, and this is consistency from Patrick Williams. This is it. So this obviously has to continue. Like I've said, higher level play, higher level expectations. So I think that we have seen some more better consistency from Patrick Williams overall for the year. It's now then, can he continue this moving forward? And I do think that is kind of like a big overall test for him. But I'm willing to see it through. I do think now that he is finally starting to hit the 3-point shot, that things are starting to get easier for him. And I think that the biggest thing for me is I'm seeing him hesitate less on shots, which in all, like, it not only does it just help him, it helps the entire team. Shoot a 3-point shot if you're open, please. And he's done that now. And I'm very happy that it's starting to finally show results for him, compared to what we talked about last season where the catch and think was his biggest issue. We're not seeing that, right? And that's so important for Pat moving forward, no matter where the heck he is, wherever he plays. But if it's for this Bulls team specifically, he needs to just shoot the 3-ball whenever he's open, because that's going to give you his best results. And we obviously are seeing it now in full form and in full effect with his recent play over these last 10 games. Again, though, now I said 10 games, now it's 11 games. It is only 11 games, right? So we need to start seeing Pat to, have these games, like 20 straight games in a row or 25 straight games in a row. And yeah, you're gonna have like an off night here and there, but it's about then, through like a 25 game stretch, do you only have like 3 or 4 off nights, right? Then we can really say that he's a solidified starter. He has passed, having about a consistency level of about 10 straight. He's past that level now for me. But for Patrick Williams moving forward to consistently be like a starting level player, no matter what, he's got to have like this 25-ish game stretch of playing this well for most of the games, and then I'm fully ready to say that he is like a starting level type player, all things considered. And even coming into the season, I do think that Pat was like at a level of like kind of fringe starter anyway. Hence why I was talking about, 5 years, $100 million. That's not terrible in terms of his overall production from the last 3 seasons. Obviously, the start of this season was absolutely dreadful for Patrick Williams, so there's that. But, if he's playing at this level for what we've seen in the last 10 games for the rest of the season, then he is a bona fide starter in the NBA. And that now is like, instead of when we were talking about 105 years, 100 million, like then that looks like an actual like legitimate contract for him. And we shouldn't have any issues with it whatsoever. So yeah, this is good steps forward for Pat. I'm still not sold that he is like a bona fide starter just yet, but I do think that if he continues to level of play for like the next like 10 to 12-ish games, then yeah, I'm ready to say that he is officially developed into like a full level type starter. Pretty good 3-and-D wing in the NBA. Now that being said, there is still always stuff for Pat to work on. And I there's always things that with Pat that I'm always just like, things gotta happen. But all I'm just gonna say, I don't have the video yet for it because NBA.com has not updated yet. But I'm just gonna say, Pat, for now, just shoot the jumper, just shoot, because I fully trust you more if you just take the jumper, whether it's in the paint, take the jumper. If you're at the 3-point line, obviously take the jumper. But like if you're like in the paint area or like 10 feet away from the basket, instead of you thinking I need to get to the basket all the way, just shoot the jumper because I just trust you that you're gonna make a little float shot or like a little 10-foot pull up or an 8-foot pull up compared to you actually trying to go to the basket and finish through contact right now. That's the part that I still don't trust with him as of yet. And it's not just like Wembanyama got to him tonight. It was a lot of people were stuffing him at the rim. And you can still kind of see that Pat's timing with everything when it comes to like actually finishing at the rim. It's just a little off still, but that's something that I think that we can work on with Pat down the road instead of us, having to worry about it right now. Because his jump shot, as I've said coming into the season, I trust his jump shot more than his finishing, and it's finally starting to like really show. So just shoot the jumper. I don't care where it is, honestly. I know I've been saying that mid range is not the best, but I guess when it comes to Patrick Williams, it's not. It doesn't really it looks almost like the opposite because his finishing isn't exactly that good. Obviously, if it's a wide open layup, shoot it. But if there's any traffic in the lane, don't shoot it or don't try to get into the. Don't try to finish at the rim because it just doesn't look like it's working out for him too well. Yeah, I mean, he's shooting 57% at the rim, and this probably got worse after this game today. 40% on layups. Yeah, I'm good with you just shooting the jumper for the rest of the season if that's the best option. So yeah, that's all I gotta say with Pat. But like I said though, I'm impressed with Pat for these 10 games here. So really cool stuff. Good growth from the young guys have definitely uplifted the team. Oh, absolutely. And like I said, so if you guys are just filing in, my expectations are moving. I truly have my expectations moving for this team now. Specifically after this win because of the lack of 3-point shooting in this win. And they won, or most importantly, they kept the lead before the 3-point shooting got actually ignited again in the fourth. Yeah, my expectations are moving for this team now. Do I think this team is going to be like a second round level playoff team? No, I don't. I don't think this team has any chance of beating anybody in the top 4 in the first round of the Eastern Conference. But I thought for this team, whether the Bulls were playing better with Zach or whatever, or without Zach, I was thinking this team is just going to go about 500 for the rest of the way. Because of the better play recently, and because they've shown, for a good stretch here that they can play at this high level of play, my expectations now are moving, okay? Now, that does not mean that I think this team's going to suddenly be in the top 4 come the end of the season. No, there's no shot. And even if the Bulls, got to restart their record, right, and start 0-0 like everyone else starts 0-0, I still don't think this Bulls team would finish top 4 in the Eastern Conference. But now, instead of me thinking that this team's going to be stuck down here, the 9, 10, 11 area, this team should be fighting for the 6, 7, 8 area now. I still don't think that, again, they're not going to win against, whoever they face in the first round, but we should not be talking about this team being better than the Atlanta Hawks, being better than the Brooklyn Nets. I don't think the Bulls beat the Pacers. I think the Pacers are just kind of on a little skid at the moment. I think the Pacers are better than their current record, but could the Bulls beat the Cavs, or be a better team than the Cavs? I think if they've shown, right? Yeah, they should. If they can continue this level of play, then they should be better than the Cavs. Especially because the Cavs are dealing with a bunch of injuries at the moment. So this is, my expectations are moving for this team. And I hope that this team, because of what these higher expectations, better play means better expectations, they got to meet it, right? And so I'm hoping that they can get to that level here. Because I'm still on team, change, get rid of DeRozan, get rid of Vucevic, but I don't think this front office is going to do that. So if this front office is going to double down with this group, then this should be the expectation for the rest of the season. You should be getting into the 6, 7, 8 area instead of you fighting for the 9, 10, 11 area for the rest of the season. So that's my expectation. So I hope that the Bulls truly do meet it. Because, like I said, I was down here. I was down here for this team. Now we're looking at here, in my opinion. So let's see it get to work. How you doing, Lamab? Hope everyone's having a good night. Yeah, I hope you have a good night as well. Appreciate y'all hanging out with me tonight. It is another short stream. I'm still recovering from illness. I do have a headache. So it is gonna be a short stream. I'm sorry I can't. So I don't know what you guys see on your end, but whenever I play music, my frames just go and whenever I stop playing music, it's fine. So I'm gonna start the music again, see how this works out. But we'll see. I'm not entirely sure how this is gonna move the bitrate. Let's see if this sticks. So, are we actually gonna trade Zach? I don't know. I actually don't know right now if the Bulls are gonna trade Zach or not. I'm gonna think that the front office is yeah, we're still looking to trade him, but I think right now for the front office, it's put the front office in this very weird spot right now because they're playing so well without him that a lot of teams are probably not going to be looking to actually trade for Zach. And as we've said, if you're going to trade Zach, you're not trading him for just a bunch of scraps. Okay, you need to either be getting a crap ton of cap space from it, or you need to be actually getting a young player and obviously some picks involved as well. And I don't know. I don't know if there's going to be a team that's going to be willing to offer that. There is then this report apparently by Shams apparently that the 76ers are actually might be interested in Zach here. And it would be a Tobias Harris for Zach LaVine swap, which would give the Bulls a crap ton of cap space, or at least cap room in a sense. It's not cap space because the Bulls will still be over the salary cap even after trading Zach. And then his contract coming off the books for next season, they're still over the salary cap. But it would at least just get rid of salary in a sense for the Bulls that have some more flexibility if they do this sort of deal. So I don't know. We'll see if the 76ers are willing to do that. Obviously a pick would be involved, and it's not just a Tobias Harris for Zach LaVine swap straight up. But it kind of would make sense for the 76ers to kind of do that because while it's you're then losing your small forward, the thing is it's Tobias Harris is only averaging 16 this season, and he averaged less than worse last year. He's not really much of a defender anyway, right? And then you get Zach instead, right, as your third option, who should probably score more than 16 than what Tobias Harris is putting up. You pair that along with Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid, I guess it would make sense, right? This is also assuming that you're not giving up much of anything else, okay? Because I think before when we talked about with the 76ers with Zach, they're giving you up 2 or 3 players. This would just be one player. It'd just be kind of one player swap plus a pick for the Bulls. And I think honestly it would make more sense that way. So who knows, honestly. But yeah, I don't know if the Bulls are actually going to be looking to trade him or not, because it seems like the Bulls front office are looking to trade him. But because of the recent play, that Zach's trade value is continuing to plummet. Now for Zach personally, I don't think this is actually that bad of a thing. I know a lot of people are like, well, this is like the worst case scenario for Zach. Honestly, if LaVine really wants to go to LA, this is probably best case scenario, because then it literally tanks his value to the lowest it can be, and then the Lakers don't have to give up anything, and then they can get Zach. So for Zach, this is probably best case scenario. But the front office is probably not going to just settle for that sort of thing. So who knows? We'll see how the front office kind of handles this stuff moving forward. But I don't think Zach's going to get traded in 2023. If it's going to happen, it's going to be in 2024, as we are very quickly approaching the new year. Bulls definitely top 5 team in the East. La Mob, I think you're crazy for saying that, but I respect your optimism. They're not top 5. The Bulls are not top 5 in the Eastern Conference. Like, no matter what, the top 5 you're seeing currently, I think the Bulls are not better than these 5 teams. No shot. I am picking the Magic the Knicks every day over the Bulls, especially in a playoff battle. Those teams are beating the Bulls. Now, can the Bulls beat the Miami Heat? I could see it. Like, in terms of record, yeah, I could see it. I think Miami is not that great of a team right now, and hence why I think they should also be looking to trade for Zach. But I could potentially see that if the Bulls are better than the Heat. But I still think the Bulls are probably going to finish somewhere like around in this area in the end. But still, though, they're not going to be beating someone in the first round of the Eastern Conference playoffs. No shot. The Bulls are better than Magic, Heat, and Pacers. You got a lot of optimism, bro. Okay, so let me ask you this, Slamob and Calvin. So if the Bulls are top 5, I'm guessing the Bulls are 5 in this scenario, okay? Because I'd be very shocked if you just told me the Bulls are top 4. Or you think that they're 4th, but give me your top 4 then in the Eastern Conference that would be above the Chicago Bulls if you're saying the Bulls are top 5. The Bulls clear the cap space. What major free agents would they be going after in the summer? It wouldn't be that many. There's no major free agents. No. But like I said, I'd be clearing cap space to try to get assets, right? I'd use the cap space to get a first round pick, and such. Detroit Pistons will trade for Zach to need a scorer. I don't think so. I think if, like, I know that there's some people talking about how Troy Weaver's like on the hot seat and needs to make a move for Zach. Like, if I'm the Pistons, I'm just fully embracing the tank at this point, because it's this bad right now for the Pistons. What's funny is that they could still not get the first overall pick even with this terrible losing streak. But I'm just like, I'm not spending any assets or anything. I am just straight up like, yeah, I'm taking the L this year, and then we'll completely redo the team next season. If we get pieces, I feel like we are close, but yet far, because I look at top teams at depth, good species. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Patrick. Yeah. And look, I don't think the Bulls have like a terrible future, right? That's not what I'm saying with any of this, but I still think that we need to make the best moves for the future. But I mean, come 3 years down the road, if the Bulls make the best moves, then I could see this Bulls team in, like 100% competing. But they have to make the right moves and not just settle for mediocrity. Do you think Zach can get past his ego and play with the style? I feel like he would actually fit great if he's willing to slot in for his play style. I also think Zach would fit in perfectly great with this play style. But I think it's not necessarily about Zach and his like full out shot, like his ego in a sense. It's more about his current play style right now for this Bulls team is not what we're seeing or what we would like to see, right? And it's not him being selfish either, right? It's the problem that we're seeing with Zach, at least for this season specifically, is that he is turning down some shots when he needs to take shots. He is then also, in my opinion, passing when I think that it's not necessary for him to be like really passing the ball in that moment. So it disrupts the flow of the offense. And then, and on top of that, I do think that Zach had kind of fallen into the DeRozan thing, where it's not that DeRozan ISOs, it's just that he plays slower. He, brings the ball up a little too slow when they should be looking to push the ball. He's lagging behind on the play when he should be 1000% like running with the team on a fast break attempt, right? That's the type of stuff with Zach that has been the problem with him, and I think that's kind of where things we're looking bad for Zach. Now, I think in terms of his ego on the defensive end, then yes, I think that's that's where his ego really comes in, where he thinks that he doesn't have to do anything on the defensive end. That's kind of my biggest question, honestly, for Zach, is if he's going to actually buy in on the defensive end. Because it's not the on-ball defense for Zach, it's the off-ball defense. He just doesn't read when he's off-ball on defense, he doesn't read defensive rotations. He just doesn't do that. And he's never done that in his career, really. I guess you could consider like the year with Lonzo was pretty solid from Zach, but it's more so about him and his ego on the defensive end, because he just thinks that because he does so much on the offensive end, that he doesn't have to really play defense. That to me is where I'm ego checking him, because that just can't happen. Like he needs to be playing defense, and that doesn't mean he needs to be guarding the best player every single night. That just means that he has to just do the proper rotations. That's it. And I still think that even with like this good play, like I still think that we see at times where DeMar DeRozan is still having these like little lapses on the defensive end on the rotations, and this is where I'm concerned about it, because you can't have two guys that have low effort on the defensive end. You just can't do that. Okay, you can have one for sure, like no matter what. Like you can have one player who just does nothing on the defensive end, you can hide him. But when it comes to two guys out there on the same time on the court, I don't think so. Like that's the part where it looks problematic, and that why the Bulls have had their issues on the defensive end. I guess for DeMar for proving he can still change this game. And let me put it to you this way: I don't think DeMar's shot selection has changed whatsoever. I just think that he is just willing to run. That's the biggest thing, and that's more about effort in my opinion, and that's where I really do applaud him, because he is older, right? DeMar could legit be like, because I'm older, I'm gonna play slower, but his ability to just be on the run more, and being willing to push the tempo with the other players without the basketball, that to me is the biggest thing. That is the biggest thing right now with that DeMar DeRozan has, I guess, changed in a sense, but I think it's just more of an effort thing. And I truly do applaud him for what he's done, because it has really connected this Bulls team everywhere on the floor when it comes to that. Not worried about the Knicks and the Magic like that. I feel we're on even standings at the moment. Could look even better later on. Oh my god. Yeah, y'all remember when the Magic did come into the United Center and then won both games? Like, do we remember that this season? Like that did happen. I understand Zach was playing, but I'm also just aware that he wasn't the only person that was playing bad at the moment. Like, there were just a lot of bad play from the team overall. Feeling Milwaukee, Boston definitely over the Bulls, but Magic, Heat, Knicks, and Bulls are in the same middle tier of the East. Jesus, yeah, y'all are on some very, very high optimism right now. Like, extremely high. No, I understand you mean fifth at best, Lama, but you named three teams that were over the Bulls. You named three, right? You didn't give me the fourth. So what's the fourth? I mean, they had a good defensive last year with both of them, just offense thing. They did, but I think that they both were giving more effort last season. That's my point. Like I think Zach this season, like truly, he just did not want to give any effort this year on defensive end. Like, so what I'm trying to say is that yeah, I think last season they were giving more effort, and yeah, the Bulls had a pretty good overall defensive rating, right? But when it comes to it, right, you can't have then for both of these guys to coexist on the floor, you can't have both of them just thinking, oh no, we're not going to play, right? We're not going to do defensive rotations, right? They actually, I think, gave effort last season in a sense. It wasn't amazing. I'm not saying it was like good level effort. Like it was just like okay. And I do think that having Caruso healthy for a full or a lot more games than usual did help in that sort of scenario. But also the other part about this that I think we need to also consider is that the Bulls played so slow last season. Therefore, their defense also looked better because they just played so slow. Now, this is the reason why I said coming into this season that I expected the Bulls defense to be a little bit worse because they'd be playing faster, right? Therefore, more shots for the other team as well. But I did not expect them to be this level of bad. And we saw that this level of bad because Zach's not trying to play defensively. I think even Vooch was not really trying at the beginning of the season. And even then, at that point, like some of like the better defenders that were on the team in Patrick Williams, in Alex Caruso, in Ayo Dosunmu, they weren't giving that good of an effort either. But now because there's only just DeRozan that is like the bad defender on the floor now, and he's also giving more effort, and obviously then the other guys have picked up their level of play. The defense looks better, but I will say though that I think the offense has kind of carried the team a little bit more in this little stretch. Still on MC season. I saw the same dude who believes Zach doesn't deserve his contract. Billy actually has another guard who will run his system. We get it. We did get a cancer-like player out of the scheme. Hate to say it like that, but now the players are thriving. I believe they can keep it up. I mean, sure, you can think that way. I'm not here to argue about Zach LaVine is like the worst person in the world or whatever. Again, the Bulls offered him the contract, so therefore Zach took the contract. That's not his fault, okay? But at the same time, when you want to tell me that Zach's a cancer to this team, I would also just like to point out that the other players, right, they've also had to step up in this sort of scenario and not play at the level that we've been seeing them play at. Now, you could take this both ways. You could say that Zach was holding them down, which I'm sure you're going to take that road, and that's fine. I'm not going to argue about that with you, and I'm aware everyone's going to be taking that road right now. But at the same time, how many times do we talk about here on this channel that Patrick Williams was just not playing at a level that he should be playing at, right? Like, if we're going to be talking about Zach LaVine not playing at a good level and you think that he's an absolute cancer and then you just removed him from the court, right, because he wasn't playing at a high level, well, Patrick Williams was also not playing at a high level, and the Bulls could have also just taken him out of the game, right? And, in fact, Billy Donovan did just that, right? And the Bulls looked better at times when Patrick Williams wasn't playing better, right? But he has upped his level to the point where now we're seeing him being like at a level of like a starting level forward in the last, however many games. Coby, obviously, is just the beginning of the season, he was shooting terribly. Like, he couldn't hit a shot from 3-point line. But now he's hitting those shots, one, but two, he has also completely upped his game to the point where we're looking at him being like an all-star type player. I'm still not on that full-out train yet, but he has definitely played like an all-star in the past, 15, 16-ish games, for sure. But it's not just like, oh, Zach's gone. Like, sure, if you want to make that argument, fine. I'm not here to stop you. And yeah, I do think the Bulls have played better without Zach LaVine. That's me saying that I think the Bulls have played better without Zach LaVine. But just because that's the case does not mean that I'm going to suddenly be saying that the Bulls are now top 5 in the Eastern Conference. And with this current team, that you're saying that they should be beating some of these other teams that have had a very much better record overall for the entire season and have also had some pretty decent runs themselves. It's not just the Bulls having some, okay-ish or some nice runs here. Like, we've seen that these teams have had some pretty nice runs throughout the year. Like, I don't think that we can just suddenly be like, oh yeah, Bulls are beating the Knicks in the Eastern Conference playoffs this year. Like, are we seriously on that road right now? Even though it's just been 11 games, like, and assuming that Zach LaVine is gone for the rest of the year, are we at this point now? Because let me put it to you this way. For example, okay, like, yeah, we beat the Miami Heat once, then we lost the Miami Heat once. So, sure, maybe we're on par level, but who are you choosing right now in terms of Miami Heat, Chicago Bulls, this current Bulls team, and Miami Heat team that is actually healthy, right, and not missing Bam Adebayo, not missing Tyler Hero? Who are you choosing? I also think it's coincidence how the team is uh, in tune with the game when Zach leaves. No, I don't think it's coincidence either. But I also think that it also required people to step up, right? It's not just like the players are playing the same way and then suddenly like, oh, look, we're good without him. Like, it requires players to really step up, right? Again, no, I'm not arguing that the Bulls have not played better. Like, they played better. They've 1,000,000% have played better without Zach, right? But let's also I'm just saying that, like, it required a bunch of players to really step up their game for them to be like, we're talking about this right now. Because what they were doing earlier, they could not have continued that earlier, and we'd be talking about this right now. Like, they had to legitimately go up, like, really take a big responsibility and go with it, right? Honestly, you won't worry about the Heat than the Magic or Knicks, but it would be a fight for sure. Maybe 50-50 chance. Am I can lock Bam down? Playing good defense? I don't think anyone can lock Bam down personally, but okay. This is not Zach's fault. I mean, look, I'm not saying that Zach LaVine is like, he's like involved in criticism for this. No, I think that, like, truly, I think Zach was not playing well this season. I don't think he was giving any sort of effort defensively, and I think that his play was not exactly helping the team, right? But at the same time, now where it's like he's now out, okay, what we have to understand is that it's not like, oh, Kobe's still averaging 13 points per game and Pat's still averaging 8, right, or 7, and shooting 23% from 3-point line, right? That they had to go up. And then not only that, like, we had to see some like big contributions from Io, from DeMar DeRozan changing his entire game, right? Like, that all had to happen, right? So yeah, I think Zach deserves the criticism that he's getting, right? Because I don't think he's played well, and I don't think that Zach should be, people should be like, oh well, this was like Billy staying or whatever. Like, no, like, Zach deserves a criticism, but I'm also we have to keep in mind that, like, the bad stuff that we saw early on, like, it wasn't just all Zach LaVine and for why this team was bad. Like, this team was bad early on for many reasons. I can't tell you how many times when I looked at I was watching DeMar DeRozan play. I don't think he played well. I don't think DeRozan was really playing that well early on. Like, I'm just being real. Like, he was missing some shots that I'm used to him hitting. He looked like he was just a step behind. Like, I'm just saying, right? And obviously, I've talked about Kobe and Patrick Williams, who I think have been two big key pieces to all of this. They were not hitting shots, right? Zach's not going to play up to his level, to the level of contract. Then why even be here? Well, hey, he wants a trade. I mean, what are you trying to tell me, Calvin? like you're just kind of saying like, yeah, Zach didn't deserve the contract, and then he needs to be gone. Like, okay, well, he wants a trade. He wants out. In his control now, so he's not playing right now. He's wants to trade out. Having two ball stoppers in the lineup was what was wrong with, if you ask me. Sure. That's like part of the problem. I think it's also just the other part of the issue is that both Zach and DeRozan like to operate in the same area. Biggest problem, in my opinion, was using Zach and DeMar as a crutch for when shots weren't going down, making our offense very schemable. I don't know if it was Billy's call or Zach's or it was everyone. Yeah, I guess you could put it that way as well. But again, though, I think it was a lot of how when it came to Zach and DeRozan on the court, it's like these two operate in the same area, and on top of that, you have Vucevic, who also kind of operates in the same area. So like you just kind of have to cover like these like certain areas on the floor, and then it's like, oh, okay, we're good, right? It again, and then it does help that when a team shoots like 42% from 3-point range, then it helps a lot. Just saying, yeah. But I do think though that the team was still, no matter what, they were just playing too slow. Like with Zach on the court, I think Zach is playing too slow, and he needed to be willing to push the tempo more, and get downhill before we can before like we even start talking about like the half court stuff. Like it was a big overall like team problem. It did fall a lot though on Zach, where he's just playing too slow. He needed to play faster. Yeah, and DeMar is a better vet for the young core and gets more involved with being more into it on defense. No, I agree with that. Like I don't disagree with that, Calvin. Today we saw the shots not going down. They kept passing the ball. Yeah, and I think it was like the biggest thing for me. Like, yeah, they were passing the ball for sure, but like, even last season, guys, like I think this is something that I talked about with last season. Like the Bulls passed the ball last season. Like that's the whole thing. Like they were passing the ball last season, but it didn't really matter because they were playing too slow. Sorry, I'm trying to find the stat here for you guys. Like, let's see. Yeah, like, I mean, the Bulls were like top 10ish in terms of passes made last season. Okay, but what have we consistently talked about is that it like passes. They happen. Like I think that the Bulls last season, like it wasn't like they were not passing the ball. They just played too slow. they literally would just play way too slow. Therefore, a pass made in a slow offense doesn't really, generate anything. A pass made though, when you're going up and down the floor, right? That changes everything, right? I mean, this is last season's offense. I mean, we're talking about this team like making a ton of passes, right? They're top 10 in the league in passes made per game. It's just that they play too slow. That's the biggest thing. They just played way too slow in the end. But let's look at this season. So this season so far, the Bulls are kind of like they're basically similar in terms of passes made per game. Now I'm gonna change this to the last 10, right? But you see here in the last 10, right? The Bulls are like top 10. It's play faster, go 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 go, right? I think Zach regressed heavy, but you can't trade him yet, so he's mad that he's been playing bad, but nobody really started blaming him until the Bulls started playing good. You think Zach has regressed? I'm not ready to say that. I think that Zach was actually hurt because you don't get like okay, so initially when Zach was out, like he got listed out for like the next like 3 to 4 weeks, I was like, okay, maybe this is a play for him just to get traded. But he then got a plasma rich injection, so like that you don't get an injection if you're not hurt. Okay, that he's actually hurt. All right. And I think that's not something that I'm going to be questioning with Zach. I do think that he was actually hurt. I'm not ready to say that Zach LaVine has suddenly regressed. And if you're talking about if this is his regression, right? Like this is still better than a lot of players in the league in terms of overall numbers. Like, yeah, I don't think his shooting numbers look that great, but like if this is regression in a sense, then like I don't think this is I don't think this is the case. But if this is regression, then all right, okay. Still though, he's still averaging 20 points per game. What's going on, Delbert? All the blame has been on Billy until we started winning. Everyone started actually running the scheme now, and we can clearly start pointing the finger at Mr. 250 million or whatever. I mean, okay, Calvin, if you want to do that, but the blame wasn't really on Billy. Like the blame was also on the front office. Like how many times have I said this? Like it's I have blamed a lot on the front office, and yeah, I do think Billy deserves some criticism for sure. But I'm also just being real here. The Bulls offense still, like, I think that we're seeing obviously the push of pace and everything, and the stuff that I'm going to give Billy a ton of credit for is that the Bulls are offensive rebounding at an extremely high rate, which is something they didn't do last season, but they're doing this season, okay? And obviously we've seen the really good pace of play, and then I think the overall spacing for this season has gotten better. But still though, it was still just terrible at the start of the year, and even if Zach's not playing, it was bad, right? Even if Zach wasn't on the court, and early on, the spacing was just bad early on, and I think it did take the team some time to kind of figure out actually how to space the floor. But still though, the biggest thing was that with Billy, he wasn't saying this stuff last season, right? He wasn't saying we need to push the tempo. If anything, he was saying we need to slow down. And then, on top of that, it seemed like Billy really wanted to heavy feature DeRozan in like these ISO situations. And this season was a completely different mindset with him. And I still think that he deserved some of the criticism that we gave him early on, because there was some very odd decision making from his rotation standpoint, and also his big play calling in the end. But yeah, he obviously deserves a ton of praise now for what he has done for this team. But I'm also again saying the team still has some ways to go. It's not perfect, because I don't think we can start saying that this team is like, oh yeah, this team's a true contender suddenly. No, I think that they're playing at a pretty nice rate right now, and they're just gonna fall back down to earth due to overall team problems on the roster. So again, one more time, because I brought this up last stream. The Bulls, okay, we'll do a last 11 games now because of tonight. But the Bulls still are only averaging 33 like 3-point attempts per game. This to me though is not a Billy thing. This is a roster issue. Okay, this is still a roster problem in the end. And you're like, well, that's a step up from 29 threes per game. Well, I think you still need to shoot more, because I mean look at these teams. They're up in the 37, 38s, right? The thing that's been happening though is that this team just can't miss. They literally just can't miss from 3-point range on very few attempts right now, and it's similar to what the Clippers are going through right now. The Clippers like literally can't miss from 3. So I've talked about this. Like, I think Billy, obviously, yeah, he deserves a lot of credit. The problem that I've continued to say though is that this team is not going to be moving forward like this level unless they really start to really heavily increase their 3-point ball. This isn't sustainable because no one shoots 40% from 3-point range for the entire season. It's just not possible. There is, I guess, a team that's pretty close right now, which is the Miami Heat, shooting 39%. But that's not going to continue, because even last season we saw them that they didn't shoot very well. And last season we saw 38%. So, okay. But yeah, like I said though, it's not going to continue this way. So That's not Billy. That's not on Billy. That's a roster issue. Okay. And I think that I've been pretty clear about this, that this team still doesn't have enough 3-point shooting, even though they've looked very good. But then I think tonight kind of showed that they don't have it all the time. Again, roster problem, roster issue, 1000% that this roster still has holes. Hence why I'm saying they're not top 5. They're just not. All right, Delbert, let me be very clear. I am not loyal to Zach. I'm not loyal to him. I just think that what the criticism, when I hear Bulls people criticize Zach, I don't think they criticize him correctly. I really don't. Like, what I've seen recently, I think is more deserved, because Zach has not played well. Like, I agree with that. But what I am saying right now has nothing to do with Zach LaVine. I'm talking about that the players are playing better, right? Something that we were questioning in general. Can these players even play better, right? And they have stepped up to the card. Has Billy Donovan done a better job at coaching? Absolutely. But last season, he wasn't enforcing these things that we're seeing this season, right? So, like, a lot of people are saying, well, Zach's out, therefore then the team is suddenly playing better, and the team is actually, like, doing things that Billy has told them to do. But last season, Billy didn't tell them to do these things, okay? That was not happening. The team bought into the system that Billy Donovan put out there last season, and it was not this system. Like, just dead straight, it was not. Okay, this year though, even at the start of the season, as terrible as it was, the Bulls were, no matter what, they were second overall in offensive rebounding, something that Billy did was heavily enforcing. Right, the Bulls, even at the start of the season, they were increasing their 3-point rate to higher than obviously 29 per game from last season. They were increasing it to like about like 32 or 33-ish, right? That has nothing to do with what I'm talking about with Zach here. The Bulls just, they were playing just terribly still. And yes, Zach LaVine was part of that terrible process. He was still playing bad. He was not playing good. He was not playing defense. Absolutely. I agree with every bit of that, okay? But I'm talking about here still that Calvin has brought up that he thinks the Bulls are top 5 in the Eastern Conference without Zach LaVine and with this current roster in hand. And he's saying, like, well, look, they're buying into the system and playing well. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. I think that they actually did buy into the system more at the beginning of the season, but players weren't playing well. And this included other people that just not named Zach LaVine. So the players now, they're figuring things out. They're playing at a better pace. And we've also seen now some changes when it comes to DeMar DeRozan and Nikola Vucevic in terms of their overall games. Yeah, I think that, yeah, they're playing a lot better. Do I think this team, though, is going to be a top 5 team in the Eastern Conference? No, I don't think so. And even with, a fresh record, I still don't think this team is going to do it, because they don't have the right personnel. And in the end, like, we're talking about a team that still doesn't have depth. They still, I think, they don't have enough 3-point attempters on the team, and they still don't have enough free throw shooting. But tonight, though, like I've said, tonight has moved my expectations, because I expected the Bulls to, for the rest of the season, they'd be stuck in this, 9, 10, 11 area. I expected them to kind of be stuck down there, like in this area, right? But because they played better, now I'm like, okay, you better be getting in this area, no matter what. Like, you better be getting there. You have to now. And if you don't get there, then I think that you could 1000% say the Bulls failed to meet expectations this season, because they've shown that they can play at this level. So they better reach this area, because then all this just goes away. All of a suddenly, this little 11-game run just means nothing. As I was thinking that would be the case, but tonight's win was pretty big. So yeah, I see people literally at Billy on choppy block, whereas in reality it was just some more roster changes, and even some shooters back in. Wait, what? I'm not. Just say people literally have Billy on the chopping block, whereas in all reality, it really is just some more roster changes, even some shooters back in a Zach LaVine trade. No, I don't think so. I don't think Zach LaVine's going to net you enough to really change the roster over, and not change up the core. I disagree with that completely. Billy even said it. They were all shooting at career lows in the beginning of the season. In my opinion, this is really then coming back to reality if they want to be NBA players. I mean, that's kind of what I said. The Bulls, it wasn't just Zach LaVine playing bad at the beginning of the season. There was a lot of players playing terrible at the beginning of the season. It wasn't just Zach. And yes, Zach going out, yeah, it probably did help the team right now because he was playing terribly. Same time, the other shooters or the other players that were not shooting well and not playing well, they could have continued to just not play well. Like, that's kind of my point here. It's like they could have just been like terrible. They could have continued their terrible run, but they didn't. They stepped up, right, and they actually played like NBA players, and here we are, right? Billions use Zach like GSW used Clay. Sure, but I also don't think that the team itself is like fully built for that, because right now what you're seeing is a heavy dose of with Coby White right now. And then obviously DeRozan needs his shots, and so does Vucevic. So like I honestly think that with Zach, it's gonna really come down to like his shots really moving forward is gonna have to come mostly, if he's gonna be playing again with this team, has to mostly just be in transition. He can't be really looking to get many half court shots, because that's where the other players have really stepped up in terms of their games. And obviously DeRozan has just been a better half-court player than Zach LaVine for a while now. So for Zach, it's gonna really have to be like transition game for him, and just looking to only score in transition. And then in the half-court sets, then he's gonna have to really just be moving a lot more and not even taking shots. Like, that's just gonna have to be the case because of Coby White and how much he's now, you know, in charge of the rock a lot more. Do you then believe that the Bulls should try to play Zach again or just sit until he's traded? No, I think they should trade him. I think that they should trade Zach, and I think it's going to help both sides of the party. But that's also me saying that I think this team is not going anywhere, and they should also trade DeMar DeRozan and Nikola Vucevic. Because Calvin, you're making the argument now, like, okay, this team's top 5. We don't have to make like significant moves. You just trade Zach and things are okay. I'm here telling you that I don't believe that. I really don't. I think this team is not going to be moving forward very far, even if they trade Zach away and they actually get like okay players in return. This team still has too many holes. And it's like, well, what holes are you talking about, Duncan? They're passing the ball well, they're playing better defense, and they're shooting well. But as I've said, they're not taking enough threes, even though they're shooting well. I'm going to continue to say this. They still have not taken enough threes, even though they're shooting well. Okay, I'm shocked that they're not even like close to averaging 43s in this stretch, because they can't miss from 3. Okay, but they still don't have enough free throw attempts, as you can see here. They're still down here, right? And then overall paint points, they're still not there. See. Yeah, we're literally second to last. Like, we're down here. This team still has too many holes, and on top of that, the defense that I thought was going to happen this season, right? The defense that I expected this team to play at the start of this season, it's not there, and it's been better, sure, but it's not at the level that I thought it would be. And on top of the fact that Torrey Craig's now out, like, it's not. I don't see this being this consistent. So defensive rating for the entire year, the Bulls are at 19th. Okay, in the last 11 games for the Bulls, the defensive rating has been 5th. Okay, so they need to keep up this level of defensive rating, which isn't even like that amazing in the end, because it's 113 is 5th for some reason. Actually, let's look at that again. Yeah, I mean, it's good. It's obviously better than what we've been seeing, but they have to keep up this level of defensive rating for the rest of the season, when we've seen that they've had many issues throughout the year. Again, even without Zach LaVine on the court, they've had issues defensively, and we need to see them keep up this level of defensive intensity for a while. Because how many times have we seen this team? They'll go a month where they play good defense, and the next month they don't play any defense. So I still think there's too many holes. I think the biggest thing for me that the Bulls have upgraded because of the good play from the team has been their playmaking. I still don't think they have enough playmaking because it just seems like it's only Coby and DeRozan that you can trust with the rock right now. But that's the part where I do think that the Bulls have truly have improved at, is their overall playmaking because of Coby White has skyrocketed. And that has really helped this team moving forward. But enough for the overall 3-point shot that I'm like, yeah, I'm all in. This team suddenly now being a second round level playoff team. It's just not the case, unfortunately, because the teams that rely on the 3-point shot, right, and not the paint points, like the Boston Celtics, like the Golden State Warriors, like the Pacers, like the Bucks, these teams just jack up threes at a ridiculous amount. And the Bulls have hit their threes at a crazy rate these past 11 games, okay? But they're not taking a lot. So they need, for me to be fully bought in on this being an actual legitimate good playoff team, a team that is going to beat the New York Knicks, beat the Orlando Magic, beat the Miami Heat in a playoff battle, okay, and have a really good chance to make it to the second round, they really need to up their 3-point attempts. They really need to, because this is the thing that has been going for them, has been the 3-point shot. So up your 3-point rate a significant amount, because again, you're not shooting free throws, as you can see here. The Bulls still don't shoot free throws. And again, even in the last 11 games, the Bulls still aren't shooting free throws. Okay, they're still down here. Up your 3-point rate, and then we can really start talking about them. But like I said, I don't think they have the shooters. They just don't. And add on top of this as well, because I think this is something that I'm one, impressed by, but two, also just being realistic about this. The level of shot making right now, for guys like Coby, for guys like Io, for guys like Caruso, it is off the charts. It is just an insane number that we're looking at here. So let's the last 11 games for these players, okay? Alex Caruso is shooting a whopping 47.8% from three. Coby is shooting 47% from three. Torrey Craig, when he was playing, was shooting 50% from three. Patrick Williams is shooting 50% from 3-point range. Is this sustainable? I have my questions. Now, I think that these numbers can go, they can do 40% from 3-point range, right? And I think with Coby, we can definitely see 40% from 3-point range. But a 50% 3-point shooter in the last 11 games, and this again includes tonight, which the Bulls didn't shoot that well in. I guess we have to stay 11 because of the game tonight. This is insane. So this has to continue, in my opinion, for the Bulls to continue winning at this level. Which I don't have faith in, because then the other shooters on this roster, unfortunately, I don't trust that they can make up for when these guys start missing more. And again, it's not missing by a lot, just that you missed more. So there's that. That's kind of just going through my head of we'll see. This is a legitimate test if this Bulls team can keep up this level of shooting that we've been seeing ridiculous amount of. So obviously tonight was a good test. Tonight was a good test for them, and they passed. And they beat the Spurs without good shooting tonight, which is fantastic. Again, though, it is the Spurs, but the Bulls did a really good job of that. So they got to put games like this together consistently, in my opinion, because the Bulls had, again, if we're going to be talking about this Bulls team not having shooting and then still winning the game, I mean, the Bulls have 58 points in the paint tonight. That's not consistent. They have not done that this season, right? It's just facts. So I'll even go back to here, okay, for when actually, hold on. Am I able to change this actually? I don't know if I can. I guess I can't do date to date, unfortunately, but yeah, I mean, even just take the last 3 games for the Bulls, I guess. It's not even that high. I mean, the Bulls are down here. So, it's these little things that I look at that I'm like, okay, you show me in a game or two that you can do this. You show me in this little 10-game stretch you can shoot pretty well from 3-point range, but you're still not putting up enough. So what are you gonna give me then? Are you going to be suddenly averaging like 50 points in the paint per game? Because if you are, then yeah, I'm all in on this. But I don't think you're going to do that because you haven't done that. Are you going to be attempting close to 43s per game on, good level shooting? Because I haven't seen that from this team yet. If they do that, then yeah, I'm all in on this. But again, they haven't done that yet. And even in this little streak, they haven't done that. They just have shot a ridiculous percentage from the field. So again, this is just my thoughts. Again, the Bulls are shooting 50%, or sorry, not the Bulls. The Bulls are shooting 47% from the field on this, 40 from 3-point range. Like, that's a ridiculous number, and they're +6. So yeah, this level of shooting has to continue. I guess that's just kind of where I'm at. I know you say you feel like the Pistons should tank the rest of the season, but if you were to make a trade with them, who would you want? If I'm trading Zach LaVine to the Pistons, I want Jaden Ivey for sure. And I don't know, give me Bogdanovich just for salary cap purposes. I'm stupid. Oh, here we go. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So if for some reason the Pistons want Zach LaVine, give me Jaden Ivey because he's not even playing really for them, or he's not playing a significant role for them at all. He's not even getting on-ball touches anymore, which I don't understand. And then give me Bogdanovich because I think that, or actually, you know what? I think Joe Harris might be better. Yeah, give me Joe Harris. Yeah, I'll take Joe Harris because then his contract's off the books for next season. That's what I would do personally. But I mean, bro, the Pistons. I think if I were the Pistons, bro, I am not. I'm not trading for anybody. I am straight up. I am embracing the tank and praying to the gods that they get a first round pick this year. Because then even if you don't get the first round pick, you're still just full out resetting. Like it. I expect this team just to be like a full out like, okay, we're trading a bunch of vets away. That are like on expiring contracts. We're gonna bring in some whole different new guys because we're gonna have some salary cap space for next season. Like, it's gonna be a completely different team, I think, next year. Because this is their guaranteed money on the roster. It's basically nothing, and Bogdanovich isn't even like fully guaranteed. It's like it's partially guaranteed. So like the Pistons literally are just gonna have Kate Cunningham, Isaiah Stewart, Marvin Bagley, and Oscar Thompson on their roster next season. Or Jalen Duren, sorry. That's all they're gonna have. They have like so much cap space. So if you can go get a first overall pick to add to this, and then use that cap space, that's what I would do. Because there's no reason for the Pistons to even try to like make a major swing here. I mean, we're looking at projected $66 million in cap space without even trading some of their vets away. So yeah, I'm personally just like, yeah, just embrace the tank this year and just move on. And next year you can go in and trade for some get some free agents and make some trades that you can really acquire a ton of money in return if that's the case as well. Because this team is just they're flat out screwed for the rest of the year. There's no reason to try to win. It just would suck. Well, say I'm just saying I don't really think it's out of the realm of possibility. I just want and I want to see it happen. I mean, look, I also want to see this happen. And look, Calvin, I'll admit when I'm wrong. Like I'll admit when I'm wrong. Like Zach LaVine for this season, like I thought he come in and played well this season. He played absolutely disgustingly bad. Like I'm wrong about that, 1,000%. Okay, like this right here, I'm aware of this little stretch by the Bulls, and I'm very happy to see it. It's nice to actually have watchable Chicago Bulls basketball again. But I'm also just being realistic here that this team still has holes, and their holes are being covered up by ridiculous three-point shooting. Now, tonight was not the case because they were just dominating the paint inside, but this Bulls team has never done that. They don't dominate the paint inside consistently. They never do that. So I give them credit for tonight because they could have easily folded in this game. They're tired, second game back to back. Spurs are a young team. They could have folded, but it's also the Spurs. They suck. So, again, I'm not going to take any credit away from the players for what they did tonight. But that being said, even with this nice little stretch that we've had here, the Bulls are still out of the play-in tournament. Like, they're still out of it. So, it's still a lot of ground to make up, one. And then number two, the Bulls have to be playing at this level still for the other 50 games of the season. That's the part where I don't have faith in, because I don't think this team is going to be able to keep up this level of play for 50 games of the season moving forward. And yes, this is including, in my opinion, this is with the Bulls having the second easiest schedule remaining for the rest of the year. Okay, I don't think this team can keep up with this level of play. Now, I said though, I thought the Bulls would just be hovering around 500 for the rest of the season and finish around here. Now, again, I moved it up to here after this win tonight. I'm saying they're going to be in this realm. I don't think they can get up here because I think that these teams are better. But they can get into this realm here. Highest would be 6. But I still think you most likely end up 7 or 8 here, and then we'll see how they do in the plan, right? And look, the reason why though that I'm not exactly thrilled at that idea is because, again, I don't think we should be chasing play-in tournaments. I think you should be trying to maximize assets here and looking to make sure that this team in a couple of years is in the best position possible. And I don't think that's going to be the case if they hold on to DeRozan, hold on to Vooch, and don't actually look to kind of do like a bit of a reset. That does not mean rebuild. Okay, that does not mean rebuild. I'm not saying rebuild. I'm just saying that they need to rethink some things, because if you want this Bulls team to be still good with this core in the next 3 years, DeMar DeRozan is only getting older, and so is Nikola Vucevic. Again, this is assuming that Zach's gone, all right? Like, I just don't see how this team is going to be able to sustain this like good play, even if they have this good play for the next 3-ish years. Hence why I would do a small reset where you change up the core a bit, you let Coby and Patrick take the keys to the car, in a sense, and you get a little bit younger, and then I think you have a sustained run with that group of guys. Because if Coby is truly going to be an all-star, then yeah, you have a good team here moving forward. And I think that this team could easily be moving up the conference in like the next 3-ish years if they do this right. But I don't want to be settling for this. Like, this isn't good enough here. If we're just going to be like, yeah, okay, we're just going to settle for this, and we have DeMar DeRozan, who potentially could just be leaving this offseason. Like, it's a scary thought. Who knows? I'm not in charge. Is he on top on your list? You would do a trade with for Zach, Sacramento. If Golden State's willing to move Chris Paul, I would 1000% be interested. I don't mind the Philly deal if it's like Zach LaVine for Tobias Harris plus a first-round pick and maybe some extra seconds. I don't really mind that deal, because even though it's not that great, I think the Bulls might get like Furkan Korkmaz out of that too. I don't mind that. I don't want the Lakers what they have right now, because the D'Lo and Hachimura for Zach, that's a terrible thing. We don't need that. And then the other team would be the Pacers. Like, I mean, the Pacers also, they haven't looked exactly amazing since the in-season tournament. So if they're willing to trade for Zach and we get Bennedict Mathurin, then absolutely. But I don't think they're going to be doing that. So I guess my top teams, because I am questioning what Sacramento's going to do here. Because I have a feeling Sacramento would kind of want to get in on this. But my top teams would be Sacramento, and then probably Pacers if that was possible. But if that's not possible, then I guess 76ers. I guess the Heat would be also. I'd be interested in this if the Heat actually are willing to like give up Jaime Jaquez, which I don't think they will, but we'll see. So I think we were all wrong about Zach this season, and yeah, we'll see how it plays up. I want to do good, so they look to want to keep DeRozan, but it will more likely be trending towards a rebuild. Well, here's what I think. I think if this Bulls team, right, if let's say they just trade DeRozan at the deadline and they're still like hovering around like 9-10, I don't think the Bulls rebuild then. Like I actually think the Bulls can like have a legitimate like pathway where they don't have to rebuild, like full out rebuild. They probably have to be bad for like 2025. But then like I think come then the 2025-26 season, I think the Bulls are like back in it. Like they're full out trying to win again. Like let me give you an example of what I'm looking at here, because this is a team that I kind of would like to see like a similar thing happen here. Sorry. So let's go back to what OKC was. Okay, so this year, this was, or sorry, hold on. Okay, so this season for OKC, this was the year that they finished sixth in the Western Conference. So 49 wins got them sixth place. So keep that in mind. So even though it's a pretty good record, it was only 49. It was still only sixth in the Western Conference in the year. This was the Paul George like MVP caliber year with Russell Westbrook. Okay, this was the year that they moved on from Carmelo Anthony, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so then next season though, because of Paul George wanting to get traded to the Clippers and everything, OKC trades for Chris Paul. They also get Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on this team, right? So think of this season as this current Bulls team right now. Basically, like me saying, like, okay, we're trading Zach, right? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander starts to develop into like a really solid player this year. Coby White has developed into a really solid player this year, right? And so the Bulls are kind of hovering around like finishing in about 500-ish. For this year though, because of, remember, it was a shortened year, and it was COVID and everything happening, it was a little bit different. So 44-28. Obviously, if it was only 44 wins in an actual season, right, you would not only have 28 losses. So keep that in mind. But this team was, pretty all right. It was decent. But then they decide, okay, we're gonna full out just rebuild the next year. Okay. We traded Chris Paul. We traded Steven Adams. Okay, so we have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at the helm, and we use our cap space to gain assets. What Sam Presti has always done with their draft assets, right? And we draft some young guys. Unfortunately, after this year, in this year, right? We see that they're not exactly that great again, but they drafted Chet Holmgren, and I think that if they had Chet Holmgren for in moving forward, then sorry, I'm mixing up my years. They draft Chet Holmgren this year after this season. Okay, suddenly then the Oklahoma City Thunder the following year, they're about 500. Okay, this is Chet Holmgren is on this roster, but he didn't play. He didn't play this entire year because he was out with an injury. But they got at least one pick that was high in the top 3. They took 2 years of being like not as good, but Shai was still all-star level, and now you're seeing this season suddenly is they're contending this season. So 2023, right? 2023, 2024, they're contending. They took 2 years of being bad. It took basically just 2 years in between of like kind of resetting, and then suddenly they're back to being like a 500 team, right? That's kind of what I want the Bulls to do, because if you don't do it this way, in my opinion, then you don't maximize Kobe's value, right? You don't maximize how well Coby has been playing, and because if Coby is truly going to be an all-star, then you have to then get like a team pretty much quickly put together so that you can start moving forward with Coby as he hits his prime years. Kobe's still only 23, so he obviously has time left, right? So once we start, moving into this, when he gets into his 26, 27, 28 years, you want to then be in contention during this period of time. So that's personally why I want the Bulls to still trade DeRozan at the deadline. I think it would be the best decision moving forward. And again, it's not necessarily that you're going to get assets back for DeRozan. It's that you're going to open up cap space to then use that cap space for then the following season to get assets. You also, your pick next season, you're in the 2025 season, is top 10 protected. So I would be bad that year And I'm not. Yeah, that does not mean full tank. Just means you just have to kind of be bad for that year. And then after that year, I think you can start moving forward again. But yeah, watch a few Lakers games, and I think Hachimura is better than how he is using the Lakers. I also agree with that. I just don't want D'Angelo Russell's contract, and also I don't think he's not really playing really well. So when it comes to a Zach LaVine trade to the Lakers, sorry, I completely just disconnected. Yeah, I don't know what's happening here. Okay, gotcha. All right, sorry, my bitrate is terrible, so I'm gonna end stream soon here. But to answer your question, Viper Strike. So yeah, I agree with you with Hachimura. That I don't think the Lakers are really using him that well. I think the Lakers have some things that they kind of have to work through right now. But yeah, I think the biggest thing when it comes to a Zach LaVine trade to the Lakers, the problem is this. I don't think D'Angelo Russell is like this bad of a player that we're seeing. The issue that I have with the trade is that he is making money for next season. Okay. And if I'm trading Zach and I'm like trying to do like a quick, like kind of like I guess it's not like a full out rebuild, but like a really quick retool of the roster and a quick way of getting assets, right? I need the cap space. So D'Angelo Russell has his player option, which he could decline. He could. But I don't want to deal with that next season. I would much rather just trade Zach for, contracts that are expiring next season than trade for D'Angelo Russell and then have to try to deal with his contract for next year, which $18 million is not a lot. It's just that when I look at this Bulls team in terms of their cap space for next year, they need every bit of cap space they can get if it's going to be the route that I would personally go. So again, you're assuming because like right here, this is the cap space if the Bulls decide not to re-sign DeMar DeRozan, not to re-sign Patrick Williams, and not re-sign Andre Drummond. Like that this is the cap space that they have if they decide not to re-sign any of those guys. Obviously, right now the Bulls are going to extend the qualifying offer to Pat. We'll see what they do with DeRozan if he's still on the roster, right? But you get rid of this $43 million from Zach's contract, so then suddenly if you decide not to bring back anybody, right, this $17 million goes up to 60. Okay. And then obviously you extend the qualifying offer to Pat, who is going to be making 12.9 million with the qualifying offer, but his cap figure until he signs a contract is going to be $29 million. So that $29 million eats into your salary cap space, hence why you need as much salary cap space as possible if you're going to be trading Zach, right? So then you have that salary cap space before Patrick Williams signs a new deal to either go out and trade for bad contracts and get a pick out of it, or go out and sign some new free agents. And then obviously when Pat signs his contract, his cap figure is going to be lower, so you'd have some more extra cap space after that. But let's say you add D'Angelo Russell's $18 million in this scenario, then suddenly the cap space that you would have about $30 million worth, it goes down to 12, right? That's the problem. So that's kind of the reason why I'm looking for, when it comes to Zach LaVine trades, that you need the cap space for next year. So I've talked about with Philly, right? They have many expiring contracts on that roster. The problem that I'm seeing right now with Philly is that, because some people are talking about like trading Robert Covington for Zach. I think they actually need both these guys. They're actually like kind of key pieces right now, specifically Nicholas Batum. So that's kind of the reason why I'm saying like I'll take on Tobias Harris's contract. I'll also take on Furkan Korkmaz. And you give me a first round pick, maybe some extra seconds, and I think we have a deal. So, yeah. What's the trade with the Kings for Zach before you go? So this would be in like more of like a rebuild type scenario, but I guess I could also see it working both ways if the Bulls don't want to full out rebuild. Um, so the big person that would be coming back is like Harrison Barnes, and then it would probably be Kevin Huerter as well. Um, and I would take Davion Mitchell. It'd be something like this, honestly, something along these lines in a sense. It it'd be harder to justify for the Kings, in my opinion, because of you're not missing your starting like power forward out of it, but it would be like along these lines. Sure. Um, you're not getting Keegan Murray, just so you know. I'm trying to figure out, is there a way to do this without giving up Barnes, because that would be a big loss. Or actually, Harrison Barnes, if I'm not mistaken, he's not even starting for them, right? Um, I need to double check this actually. Oh no, he's definitely starting then. Wait, what? Sorry, hold on. Blitz. Oh, no, he's starting. Never mind, he is starting. So yeah, so that's kind of the problem with this whole deal. But it would be the swing that I think Sacramento might be willing to take, because they're not really playing to the level they were playing like last year, and they're not getting any big free agents coming to Sacramento. They're just not. They need to trade for guys, and I think that if they see Zach, they're like, okay, we might be willing to trade for Zach here, because De'Aaron Fox is having a hell of a year. I mean, De'Aaron Fox is averaging 30, but then they don't have a person averaging 20 after that. So there's kind of that whole thing going on. Um, I don't know how they do it without giving up like Harrison Barnes. So like they're not giving up Malik Monk either. So Duarte, like I guess it'd be like this. I guess this could work. Again, don't worry about this. This goes away on January 15th. So it'd be like this in a sense. And then obviously, I think if you're the Kings, you would do like something like this, I guess. This would be the deal. That it would require a lot more movement though, because the Bulls would have to like move a ton of players. It'd probably be a three-team trade if this is like without Harrison Barnes, but I still think that in the end, if they're gonna be trading for Zach, it would require Harrison Barnes. To like undo this. Yeah, it would probably be more like this, probably. So that'd be a hard decision to make, but it would be something along the lines of this, probably. Does that answer your question? Viper Stray, how do you feel about the Clippers resurgence? Personally, I'm rooting for them because they simply like Russ. Can't stand Harden though. I like to see Russ get a ring. So yeah, this is kind of this is like a huge thing. So like the Clippers are like on a run like the Bulls are recently, but it's even better. Like the Clippers literally, they I think they won 10 straight before tonight, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe it was 9. But yeah, the Clippers were on a ridiculous run here, and they just could not lose. And this will be the last thing I talk about before heading out here. But yeah, I personally I'm a huge fan of Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. I've always been a big fan of those two guys. So I would like to see them win out here and actually be like, a real legit contender. and make it to the Western Conference Finals healthy. Because the one time they did make it, Kawhi wasn't able to play. Yeah, I'm actually really happy about this. I'm also a big Russ fan as well. And he's taken a huge step back coming off the bench, and I think it's been huge. But here's the other thing that this is kind of what I wasn't expecting, this sort of level of run by the Clippers after the Harden deal. But this is kind of what I was saying that the Clippers kind of need. Like, the Clippers needed a dude like Harden to handle the ball, and help Leonard and George not have to be on ball as much, right? The Clippers had to get a guy that could truly run an offense for them, and then not have all the on-ball responsibilities be on their wings. Because the guards that the Clippers were running out there were like Terrence Mann, Norman Powell, and it's not actual point guards, right? And they had Reggie Jackson before, and Russell Westbrook, unfortunately, as much as I love him, his high level of play just isn't there anymore. He is truly just a spark plug. He's not going to be playmaking right now, at his current level. So they needed a dude that could handle the ball, take that responsibility, and then all Leonard and George had to really worry about is just hit shots. That's all they need to worry about, is go out there. Harden's going to set you up. You get to play at the wings and not at the top of the key so much, and you can finally start to just worry about hitting threes. And you even see now Kawhi Leonard is actually like really starting to kind of operate in like the middle of the floor now. So the floor balance just looks so much better now, because instead of having one of those guys have to initiate everything and the other guy off on the other side of the court, you then have Harden initiating everything, and both these guys are now threats off the ball, and they're threats no matter where they are on the court. So I'm hella impressed with what the Clippers are doing. They lost tonight, but Kawhi Leonard didn't play, and also they faced OKC. So maybe not that bad of a loss in a sense, but I mean 134 points is not good for sure. But yeah, I can understand why you're not the biggest Harden fan. I'm not like the biggest Harden fan either. Like I love Russell Westbrook much more than I love James Harden, but I can't deny what Harden does bring to a team, in terms of his overall basketball IQ, especially on the offensive end. I'm aware his defense isn't very good, but even if his scoring is slowing down, like even if James Harden's scoring is not what we were typically used to seeing, and even if this year he takes an even bigger step back in terms of his scoring, he has, no matter the past couple of years, he has averaged 10 assists. That's the biggest thing that James Harden is going to bring to your team right now, is that he will set up others at a very high level. And you're seeing Ivica Zubac right now. He is having the time of his life. Like, Ivica Zubac is having a very good run right now, and a lot of it's because James Harden is just setting him up. And Kawhi Leonard, maybe I could bring this up actually, but Kawhi Leonard in the past 11-ish games or whatever, he has been I have never seen Kawhi Leonard have so much room to operate, in a sense. He is truly just he is playing at a ridiculous level in the past month-ish, because he doesn't have to worry about initiating everything. He just has to be a wing. So let's see here. Hold on. Let me just go to the Clippers instead. Sorry. There we go. I mean, let's look at this. Let's just do the last 11 games like we're doing for the Bulls, right? Yeah, Kawhi Leonard is shooting 60% from the field on 52% shooting. As I've said with the Bulls, that's not going to last. This level of shooting is not going to last. But the biggest thing for me is that you're seeing guys like Zubac right now. He's having a very good run here, and I think that this is the part that's a little bit more sustainable for him, for the Clippers. And then obviously with Harden, I mean, this dude is truly just setting up everybody. They're a plus 10 everyone on the floor right now. Everyone is just having a good time. with the Clippers. And I mean, Paul George has also just looked so much more comfortable since the Harden trade. So yeah, I'm like, I think this team. I know that it got so much hate when the team first got together, and like, I think they deserve the criticism. I mean, I think Harden came in, he wasn't really, in game shape, and I think the team was still trying to figure out a lot of things that even before Harden were a problem with the roster. It's just a team chemistry. But um, if this team can stay healthy, and Kawhi Leonard missed his first game of the year tonight against the Clippers due to a hip thing, so the Clippers have been pretty much healthy for the year. Uh, if they can stay healthy, I think that they're a top 4 team. It'd be hard right now to knock off the first 3, in my opinion. I do have some doubts about Minnesota still, even though they have the best defense in the league right now. But I'm not going to knock them off. But yeah, if the Clippers are fully healthy and their team chemistry lasts like how it is right now, yeah, they're a top 4 team in the West. Because they just have everybody now starting to play in their actual spots, and it's finally starting to come together for them. Oh, yeah, he brings a lot of skill, just a lot of baggage. Yeah, so Harden does bring a lot of baggage. I'm aware of Harden's baggage in terms of his not good defense, and he does at times slow down the roster or slow down the offense for just kind of his own personal sake. But I think it's also just the way that Harden has operated under certain coaches, like, and with the roster that he was given, like it's just he had to fall into that sort of state where he's like he has to do literally everything, and I think because of his role with this team where he is very clearly the third option, and add on top of the fact that the other 2 best players are their 2 best defenders, so they can kind of hide James Harden, because the only other bad defender I would say on that roster is I guess Russell Westbrook, but like he's not even that bad of a defender. Like they can hide James Harden now, so like his baggage I don't think is going to be showing as much. Do I have this team winning the West? No, I still think the Denver Nuggets are better, but they're definitely now in a sense where I think they've taken that level up, where instead of them kind of just hovering in this little area they've been kind of stuck in, I can see them being like a legit threat to a lot of teams at the top of the Western Conference. So obviously, again, it's early. Kawhi's shooting of 60% from the field is not going to last. So they're still going to have to, fight through some adversity when the shots don't fall for some of their guys. But I think that team has depth still, even after the Harden deal, because they have Norman Powell, they have Terrence Mann. Amir Coffey has suddenly turned into an actual NBA player now. And I haven't even mentioned Russell Westbrook off the bench. So they just have, I think, a really good team in place right now. And they finally have put things together. And Ty Lue, I think, finally gets to coach for once. And not have to worry too hard about other things going on with injuries and such. 76ers ate Minnesota yesterday? Yeah, he did. Yeah. Joel Embiid destroyed Rudy Gobert. And it was all just mid-range, actually. I watched that. Like, it was just Joel Embiid go to the mid-range, shoot. He knew not to challenge Gobert at the rim because he'd lose. He just shot mid-range over him all game and just won the game because of it. And Tyrese Maxey had a phenomenal game, too. But yeah, I have some doubts about Minnesota. I have talked about very clearly I don't think Chris Finch is a good coach. I'm still kind of holding out on that. I give him credit for the start of this year, absolutely, but I'm waiting to see come playoff time how he responds, because he did not coach well in the playoffs. But I'm not going to say that Minnesota's not a top 4 team. They're a top 4 team right now, so I'm not going to say that they aren't. But I will say though, I still think Denver is the top team. Denver is still the team to beat in the West. Jokic is just playing too well, so I'm not gonna just be taking away Denver's thing. And what's funny throughout all of this, Luka Doncic is having one hell of a year. The problem is that Kyrie Irving is out, and I think finally their defensive flaws are starting to show. So I think Dallas is gonna kind of finish somewhere along this area here, but I don't know where they're gonna finish. Like in the end, like it could be the 8 seed, but it could also be the 5 seed, because Luka is playing ridiculously well. Like I have, you think that you've seen it all from Luka, and yet he has these games that you're just like, oh my god. But yeah, Luka is straight up carrying that team right now, and they don't have Kyrie, so we'll see how well they do in the end. Yeah, West is packed though, man. The West is just absolutely packed in terms of just good teams. Because you just see here that the LA Lakers are above 500 and Atlanta Hawks are not above 500. So it is very tough right now in the Western Conference. So yeah, there's gonna be a lot of movement, I think, honestly, the next like month and a half or so in the Western Conference, because it's all so close. I mean, look at this. Like 4 seed to 10 seed separated by 2.5 games. Like, that's insane. Surprised Grizzlies aren't panicking. I'm also surprised the Grizzlies aren't panicking. So Ja Morant came back and had his nice little, return with the game winner over the New Orleans Pelicans. But I agree. I'm concerned about the Grizzlies moving forward. But I think they're gonna kind of wait and see how they play with Ja, because they played so bad in general. They can't score the ball. Like, this team cannot score the ball unless they have Ja Morant out there. They just do not score. They don't play good in the half court. Like, it was all last season, like even last season with Ja playing, it was all about their transition offense. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like, they're gonna have to really be fighting for the play-in spots, and we'll see how it works out. Also, you want to know what's funny? And I'll end the stream here. The Phoenix Suns right now are 4-13. Like, this, I don't know about y'all, but Kevin Durant wanted out of Brooklyn because he had Kyrie Irving missing time. James Harden was also missing time and didn't really want to be there. And obviously also KD had at points missing time. The Phoenix Suns this season, you have Bradley Beal, who can't stay healthy, for God's sake. Devin Booker has a foot issue that seems to never go away. And even KD's starting to miss games, but he's played the most. It's like, I don't know what's happening. And sure, I don't think the Suns they're not going to finish 9th, but it is very concerning right now because they cannot build any sort of team chemistry whatsoever if all these guys continue to be out. Bradley Beal has played 2 games, I think, 3 games for the Phoenix Suns. I don't know how many games it is, but it's not a lot. And suddenly then he has to come back like close to the All-Star break and get reacclimated up to game speed and, work out the big 3 between him, Booker, and Durant. That's just hella concerning for me. So I don't know what Phoenix is going to do personally, but I will say my faith in them continues to go down as each day passes because they don't have the time to build their team chemistry. Like this so-called super team that we're looking at, and on paper it looks like it, they have not played together whatsoever. Be a Clippers situation where all the stars need to align, and we saw with the Clippers that it didn't work out, right? So yeah, I don't know how the Phoenix Suns are going to do this season, and I will admit, I think this is one of those years, in my opinion, at the very least, that this is championship or bust this year, or like at least top 4 or bust, I guess. But because Bradley Beal just can't stay healthy, that like this is another year down the drain for Kevin Durant. And and as much like KD continues to just defy expectations after the Achilles injury, but I truly do not know how much KD has left. And that's kind of my concern moving forward. And the bigger issue, honestly, might be how much does Bradley Beal have left, because he just can't stay healthy. And that's just concerning. And it's not really, and so yeah, his injuries aren't really his fault. He got stepped on in his last injury, which is the reason why he's out. Like, it just really sucks for them. So yeah, I don't know, man. It'd be interesting to watch for the rest of the season. So, all right. Just release Bull to Bulls to get him. Hey, honestly, I wouldn't mind watching Bull and on the Windy City Bulls. All right. So I streamed twice this week. I am not gonna be streaming the next Bulls game, which I don't exactly know when that is. I think the Bulls play the Cavs. Okay, yeah, Bulls play the Cavs on Saturday. I'm not gonna be streaming this. I think you guys kind of know now that I have like a thing on Saturday that I kind of always have to do. So I will not be streaming this game after Bulls face the Cavaliers on Saturday. But The next time the Bulls play after that, so the Bulls obviously they're not going to be playing on Christmas Eve. They don't play on Christmas Day, so they'll be playing on the 26th. That's to be against Atlanta. I'm planning on streaming at this time. So for all of you, I just want to say, if you celebrate Christmas, I want to say Merry Christmas. If you don't, I just want to say Happy Holidays to you. Please be safe. As I know a lot of you are going to be traveling. I will be traveling as well to go see family. So please be safe as you all go out and travel and have a good time, spend quality time with your family. I will not be seeing you until after Christmas, actually. So Bulls are what now 8-3 in their last 11. So this is gonna be interesting to see how they continue playing moving forward here. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun time. So enjoy the Christmas Day games. That's all. I have very few plans on Christmas Day, I'll say. So I am gonna be I'm celebrating kind of Christmas like the day before. I'm celebrating a lot of Christmas on Christmas Eve. And then like kind of later in the day on Christmas, I'm gonna go see family. But I am watching just a full day of basketball on Christmas Day, which is kind of always my gift on Christmas. So enjoy the Christmas games you're gonna be watching. But like I said, please be safe. Yeah, and I'll see you after Christmas. All right, have a good holidays, everybody. See ya. Peace.